doing out here? Silence my phone. People don't call me in the middle of this. Like my mother. Calls every time I'm having a program. Better hurry up. Was he with you? No? He looks single. Thank you.
We're going to matchmake you then.
Oh, you going to matchmake me? Yeah. Well, make her a saint. She's getting a pure sinner. Enough sinning for two of us. Okay. So what are we talking about here with the sharpshooters? These are, to start off with, let's start with the big picture and let's go down to the smaller picture and see what we're dealing with here. Sharpshooters are sharpshooters. Like, I don't mean to be like coy or run around the building, but every one of you have heard the word sharpshooter. Well, there's a reason for that. It's the American Civil War is the reason for that. And the reason, not yet, and the reason that they're known as sharpshooters is because they are shooting sharps' rifles. Who would have thunk it? I know it. I know. Duh. It's like you're talking to your sister. Hello. Hello, we're speaking English here. All right. So, you think about it, there's always been sharpshooters. I mean, you go back to the Revolutionary War. The British would have, we call them sharpshooters, but they would have skilled infantrymen out front in order to kick up the enemy, kind of like you would have a bird dog out front. Now, when the American Civil War comes along, they need somebody to help organize them, or to collect these men that are better shots. And they run across, or this man steps forward by the name of Hiram Berdan. Hiram Berdan. Always beware a man who gets his picture taken a lot in the 19th century. And there's a lot of pictures of Hiram Berdan. That always tells you something about somebody when they get their picture taken a lot. Unless you're working at an investment firm or something like that, maybe get it done all the time. Now, Hiram Berdan, speaking of investments, comes from wealth. But more importantly than the wealth is the brain. Hiram Berdan has got that inventor's brain. And he's wired different. Okay? He's extremely smart. His IQ, I would hate to even guess what this guy's IQ is. But what do you find with a lot of high IQ people?
No common sense.
No common sense. No. You get stranded on, yes ma'am, you get stranded on a deserted island, who's the first guy you eat? That guy. Because he won't shut up. All right, so we're going to fix that. We're going to eat you. Okay? So, Hiram Berdan is an extremely smart guy. Interesting chap. He's born on September 6, 1824 in Phelps, New York, wherever that is, and went to Hobart College. Does that still exist? Geneva. Does it? How big is it?
Very big. It's a boys and girls school.
Oh, it is?
William Smith.
Yeah, there's William and Mary and Hobart.
Joint. No.
Oh, are they? Okay. Give me a guesstimate. 10,000?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
A couple thousand.
It's right on Seneca Lake, so there's got to be 10,000.
Oh, they got money then.
Oh, no.
Well, there's 2,000 going to class and another 8,000 attending, supposedly. Online. There you go. All right. Well, he's from there, and he majored in mathematics. Hello. He then, which I did not. He then worked in the machine shop when he came out. That's not what I would expect from somebody, but I guess it makes sense. He then worked in the machine shop, which this experience later led to the invention, among a lot of things, which I'll read off, of the reaper machine. He had over 30 patents by the time that he died, including a collapsible lifeboat. which patent he donated to charity and it was never built. All right? To automated bread machines. Automated bread machines, which were actually installed in 5 different northern cities until the Bakers Union said enough. And so they got the machines out of there because it was costing jobs. Anybody hear that nowadays? Right? Automation. All right. I can't do this one. A gold amalgamation machine. I don't know what it means there, Carpenter man, but I think it's good. To a repeating rifle and a patented musket ball. Through these patents, he became a very wealthy man. Now, what we have to deal with, what's important to us, I should say, is reportedly Berdan was the best rifle shot in the country. And I know that's up to, interpretation or whoever, but he's not a bad shot. That is not an exaggeration, whether he's the best. That is in a formal competition. Now, naturally, it was he that went to the U.S. government in the beginning of the Civil War to form a regiment of sharpshooters. Now, the idea, and I always get some, there's some people out there that are really, really big Berdan sharpshooter fans, so I try to get this narrative straight so I won't hurt any of your feelings. Some scholars say Caspar Trepp, T-R-E-P-P, if I'm saying that right, who later served on Berdan's staff as a major, brought the idea from the rifle regiments of Europe. Rifle regiments in Europe fought in small numbers, used terrain for cover, and kept a good distance from the enemy too. Berdan gave his men green uniforms, which I'll describe in a minute, also in the European tradition. Special duty, which means going out and sharpshooting. Unique tactics, meaning that sharpshooters are completely trained by either hand signals or by bugle. They're not verbal commands. You can move a whole regiment or company of sharpshooters across a field by bugle commands. You could be several hundred yards in the back. You can make that line wheel to the left. You can make it wheel to the right. You can make it go forward. You can make it go backward. I mean, whatever you have highly trained as they go out. And what makes them different is that they're actually taking advantage of the terrain. They're not standing out front just taking it, like you see over and over on this battlefield. It's what we think more of, I would think, modern combat as they're going out. All right, so let's see. Eventually, out of the 8 companies which he raises for the 2nd United States Sharpshooters, they were formed as follows, and I think I can get most of the North with this list. Company A was from Minnesota. Yeah? Yeah. Company B was from Michigan. They're the people that flew the plane down to Ole Miss and picked up the quarterback in the Michigan plane when we went on probation. That's Michigan. Those people. I still got a picture of it somewhere. There's no hard feelings. All right, no, none at all. Company C, Pennsylvania. I'm not from Pennsylvania. They should name like a bypass for me or something. Matt Atkinson Memorial Pothole Funder. I about filled every pothole they got in this county. My own personal donation. Falsely accused, of course. Company C, Pennsylvania. Company D, Maine. So much for Maine. Now let's try this one. Company E, Vermont. All right, let's get the kids involved. Let's do some Townsend. Oh yeah. Stand up, do some Elvis too. I like y'all. Company F and Company G are from New Hampshire. New Hampshire. Coffee. Coffee. We're going down to the Duncans. We're going to get some coffee from there. It's going to be near Worcester. Worcester. And all this time I've been saying Worcestershire. It's Worcester. Worcester. And Company H is going to be once again from Vermont. I get a bunch of you. We could have some fun. Okay, let me show you that rifle. And I'm gonna have, don't go far, but stand in the shade, and we don't want to get too hot, darling. Sharp's rifle. I'm gonna have her bring it around. I'm gonna have Emily bring it around in a minute so you can see it all. But I'll hold it closer, but I'll hold it up for you. This is what he wanted. This is the Sharp's rifle, just to make sure, because I'm bending it back and forth. For you novices out there, what's the first thing you do with the gun? Check the safety and check what? Check the what are we checking for, people? It's not that deep. Does it have what or what or not? Is it loaded? Right? Is it loaded? Well, it's not loaded. All right, I can see clear down the barrel. But that's what you need to know. This is a breech-loaded rifle. That's what makes it so different. Hey, that is a breech-loaded weapon. If you look at the Civil War, most of them are muzzle-loaded. This is a breech-loaded weapon. It has a guard, I think it's called a D-block. Don't quote me, but right here, and it's pretty simple. You have a hole in the back. And when you put the paper cartridge up in there, you close the breech, the D-block comes up, covers the rear of the barrel, terms are skipping me right here, and it cuts the paper off and exposes the powder. So when you have it closed, I should say the breech closed, and you cock it back, you have a cone on there, just like you would see on an Enfield or a Springfield. These are not rim-fired cartridges or center-fired cartridges like we're familiar with today. These are paper cartridges, and it fires a .52 caliber bullet. Now, the nice thing about this is it could be loaded from a prone position. All right, so won't you come out here? Don't get up. I'm gonna have you lay down since you're already laying down. Go down here. There you go, right there. So you could load this weapon. You could load this weapon while you were roll on your stomach. Right there, roll over. You can load this weapon like this. You can load it while you're down. You can load the weapon, and you can do it from a prone position. You can't take a muzzle loading weapon and lay on the ground and load it. It's very hard. The bullets are, the longer you fire it, the harder it is to load. So this thing allows a sharpshooter to get up in a tree. Let's not even take a prone position. And can you imagine trying to ram a bullet home in the up in this tree? Right? All you do is open the breech, put the bullet in, and go down. All right? You probably could shoot, I don't know what the regulations call for, but you could easily get off 6-7 shots a minute with this thing if it goes off. You know, I don't know. I've never live fired these, but the firing blanks are very notorious to misfire because it's wonky under there. The flame from the spark from the percussion cap makes an L bend into the gun, and it kind of messes it up. July 2nd of 1863. There's an account by a Union captain that I was reading before I came out here, and he talked about, and I'm only telling you this for a reason. I'll get around to it in a minute. He drew a map to send in about his reminiscence about what happened here. And he said that his squad, if that's the word he used, or a detachment of his men, actually made their way from back here where I'm about to walk you. Now, this tree line I don't think would have been as dense, but they made their way, and he pointed to that tree line right behind you over there. This is about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The skirmishers, or should I say the sharpshooters, have been sent out on the left flank, and this party of Union soldiers continues their advance into that wood line. He says very distinctly that while they were advancing across this plain right here, that General Sickles and his headquarters staff could see him and his men advancing. And soon, I imagine, this is before the Confederates get here, imagine Sickles is up around the peach orchard, somewhere in that vicinity. And soon a staff officer from Sickles comes riding out along through here to find them. And they ride up to him, and he asks, "Who are you, and why are you this advanced?" And he explains to them they're sharpshooters, and they're doing a reconnaissance. And he turns to him and tells the staff officer to inform General Sickles that there is no enemy in our front. So when they went through that tree line and out the other side, they didn't see any Confederates at 1 o'clock. I don't think I'm going out on a limb there. They shouldn't have seen any Confederates at 1 o'clock. But what he inadvertently did as an old man in writing his memoirs as captain is he told us that Sickles, at least in this instance, Sickles could not have known that Longstreet was coming. With all that verbose, that he's throwing the attack plan and off his own soldier, his own captain, which is, he's nobody in a corps, he's just a measly captain. But he's telling the truth. They didn't see anybody. And anyway, the captain was speculating in his old age that a portion of his information caused General Sickles to move the corps forward shortly thereafter. Now, he thinks it's all for him, but I think it's a collection, bits and pieces of information collectively coming to Dan Sickles that eventually makes him, come on out and advance that corps. So, in order to get his corps up, I'll try to get you in where we can see in just a minute, and I'll show you the position. But in advancing those skirmishers, you have to remember, some of you can see Little Round Top through the gap in those trees right there. Okay, well, Devil's Den is halfway between here and Little Round Top. Just take, or maybe 3/4 of the way to Little Round Top. Can you see it, ma'am? You've been smiling the whole time. I just wanted you to be able to be happy back there. Be 105 degrees, you be smiling, right? We'll see by the end of the tour. Let's see if he shucks that T-shirt or it's all over with. The end of the Union line is at Devil's Den. Y'all must be dating. He's wearing T-shirt. Yeah? Y'all know what I'm talking about. You don't wear no double shirt when you get married. Heck with that stuff, man. It's hot out here. Well, I should say. The Devil's Den, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the Union line. If you're going to cover, if the end of your Union line is right here, you don't want the enemy. Can I borrow y'all a minute? Come on up. All right, well. Oh, well, there you go. Perfect shirt. All right. If he is the end of the Union line, all right, and here's Devil's Den right back here. Well, you don't want the rebels to be able to come in here and get behind. So the sharpshooters, yeah, they're called out to suppress enemy fire. Yeah, they're called out for intelligence and all that. But in the end, they're also guarding the flank. And at a pace of 5 yards apiece, you send the sharpshooters out here to extend your line. Now, this is not a line like this. This is a line like this. And they advance as a screen out in this field and cover more distance. Does that make sense? So they're not fighting like regular infantry. Now, as we walk along through here, you be a sharpshooter. Where are you going to pick your position? Where are you going to do? Thank you, buddy. I'm sorry. Give it one more try. Let's see your Civil War statue. Point. There you go. Now give it to Napoleon. Right there. Put your hand out flat. Put it in there, right there. You're going to cheer for your brother, huh? That's nice. How's your statue going to look? That's more my thing. Well, probably the statue would just be, y'all should combine forces and just have each other just wrestle it. Yeah, that'd probably be more accurate. Right there. Get out of my room! I tell you. Oh, really? Where's your parents? Let me talk to them about that. What they doing over there? I don't know what's happening around here. Please say child abuse. Now, if you look at this right here, now I hope you see that the skirmishers are forming the stream. So as we walk down through here, I'll try to get you a better vantage point. You just can't see anything. But as we walk down the road right through here, ladies and gentlemen, we're headed toward the Slider Farm. And I'll say this again when we get down there. And I'll read the description to you. It appears, since they're trying to cover the flank, that the right flank, at least according to that captain that I alluded to, the old man that was writing his memoirs, it appears instead of, some people have the line straight across. And I could see that, just straight across the ridge toward the peach orchard. Other people, I'm going to move your arm, other people don't have it as a straight line. Other people have it like an L. In other words, as we go along the road, I'm only telling you this because I want you to be able to imagine it as we walk along. The right flank, remember I'm reversed from you, the right flank of the Union right here is along the roadbed, and the left flank will be basically along Slider Farm, which we're about to walk down to. Back together, if we could. As we go along through here, you people in the back can't see it, but as you come by, you're going to see one of the first sharpshooter monuments. So look behind you. Look at where the road is, okay, and where the country, the farm lane comes down, and look to your left where we're about to go around the corner, and we'll go down to the Slider Farm. And this is probably, I'd have to look it up, but you're probably looking at the right flank. Now what I don't know is if the line was running, the right flank was running this way like the captain wrote, or the right flank is running that way. Either way would make sense to me. I mean, I could definitely see sharpshooters behind this little ridge right here. You know, but once I got out on that ridge where the Confederates showed up, you know, I don't know how they would have adjusted. You also could be along this farm lane because that reconnaissance, or they should have had pickets out there, would have told them whenever they got sight of Longstreet's column that the Confederates were coming. Surely they weren't surprised by the Confederates coming over the edge of that, out of that wood line. So I don't know how many adjustments were made. I should also point out before I forget, as you look to your left, you see Big Round Top over there. Their original line, I guess around 11 o'clock in the morning, was somewhere over here. I don't know if it followed that distant tree line, but it was covering the left. And at around 1 o'clock is when they advanced out to where you see the monuments as we walk along today. So. Do I need to talk? Do I need to stand up? Can you hear me in the back? Yeah. Back there? What? What? What's that? There's that woman again hollering at me from the back. Will you speak up? I don't know how John hadn't busted his butt using this thing. Yes, yes. No, I'm not sure he really uses it. Not really. It may or may not be.
I think he just goes on the first step.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's too dangerous.
I know what you mean. I only do that second step after midnight. That's when I'm real brave. I'm a Superman. Like driving my car around. No problem with that. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'll just read the whole thing. It's about 3 paragraphs, and unfortunately it doesn't have a lot of detail, but it does rehash what I've already told you, and you can see what I'm up against, the conundrum of exactly where they are. So this is by the commander of the 2nd USSS. Captain, this July 27th, 1863, I have the honor to report the operations of the 2nd U.S. Sharpshooters at Gettysburg as follows, : on the morning of July 2nd, I was placed in line on the extreme left of the 3rd Corps, remaining there for nearly 1 hour when the colonel commanding, that would be Berdan, instructed me to place my command in a position to cover a ravine near Sugarloaf Hill. Sugarloaf Hill would be that hill over there, and I imagine this ravine is right where you're looking at. That's my guess. Which I did by putting Company H on the brow of the hill. Well, I don't know if they mean on the base of Big Round Top, etc. With vedettes overlooking the ravine. So along the high ground is the way I picture it. They're overlooking the ravine. Now, is it that ravine or is it this ravine? I don't know, but you could basically combine the two. They're overlooking the... Okay, so I did by putting Company H on the brow of the hill with vedettes overlooking the ravine and Company D in the ravine near the woods, which I take is where we're headed, to watch the enemy's movement in that direction. Companies A, E, G, and C formed a line perpendicular, not parallel, but perpendicular to the crossroad that intersects with the Emmitsburg Pike. Company B and F I held in reserve. What was the company on Maine? What was Maine's company number?
D. Company.
D? D, right there. So, I remained in this position until about 2 o'clock p.m. when General Ward, as Hobart, directed that I should deploy my regiment across the ravine and through the woods on the right. So they're facing, now you're facing like a Union soldier. So the woods on the right in advance. I moved forward to a brook some 200 yards beyond a second crossroad running perpendicular to the Emmitsburg Pike and intersecting with it in front of Sugarloaf Hill. I wonder if he's mistaking Big Round Top for...
I think that's what they call Big Round Top.
Was it Little Sugarloaf or Big...
I think they call Big Round Top Sugarloaf.
I sent forward, well that explains it. I sent forward scouts to reconnoiter the ground. I then rode out perhaps the distance of half a mile and discovered the enemy skirmishers advancing on my right. Actually, that'd be over here. I was compelled to withdraw to protect my flank. In this position, we had but little time to wait. The enemy skirmishers advanced to the top of the hill in our front, and immediately after they placed a battery directly in our front. And being too far for our range, I sent forward a few men under cover of woods on the left and silenced one piece nearest us. So I imagine what he's talking about is the Confederate artillery coming into position somewhere along that ridge over there. And you have to remember, people, that the guns you see today are a lot closer than they would have been in 1863. You would never put your cannons that close together, right? You want a wider field of fire. So he claims to have silenced at least one piece. So what I picture is the left flank running along this fence line, and I don't know how far the fence line went down, but it probably went into those woods over there, and somewhere in those woods is where the left flank is going to come to rest. So if when you're walking back, some of you are going to take the tour road back to your car, and some of you will retrace the route you have. But if you're taking the tour road, you can see that clump of woods, copse, should I say? That copse of woods right there from the other side, and kind of get how far away they're firing from. The enemy then advanced a line of battle covering our entire front and flank. The enemy then advanced a line of battle covering our entire front and flank. While they were advancing, the 2nd Regiment did splendid execution, and he's not kidding, killing and wounding a great many. One regiment broke 3 times and rallied before it would advance. I don't know about that. I held my position until their line of battle was within 100 yards of me. What's 100 yards? That tree line? That first tree line? So you can imagine the rebels getting that close. I'd probably be booking it too. All right? And their skirmishers were pushing back my right flank, which I think they're just following the road down and sweeping them up, when I ordered my men to fall back, firing as they retired. My left wing retreated up the hill. It's your side. My left wing retreated up the hill and allowed the enemy to pass up the ravine when they poured a destructive fire into his flank and rear. Homer Stockton, Major commanding 2nd USSS. And nearly right angles with the pike. That's why Lano has that map the way he does, I think because of this account. In other words, Lano in his maps has it, like I said, you would have Union soldiers here, and you would have Union soldiers here. Step out here a little bit. See what they're doing? And here come the Confederates. Here's the farmland. Here's the farm. And here's the rest of it. Put your arms out for me. Put your arms out for me. See it? Now you see it? That's the way Norton describes it. Right there, thank you. Not to be mistaken with the little round top guy. The line extended beyond a little house by the side of a road which ran up through the hollow to the Emmitsburg Pike. Anybody see a house around here? Okay, thank you. The line extended beyond a little house by the side of a road which ran up through the hollow to the Emmitsburg Pike. Looks good to me. The 2nd Regiment of Sharpshooters, with its 250 to 300 men. Somebody told me on the walk over here that Busey and Martin has it at 169. I said 200, but Busey says 169. Well, give the guy a break. He's old. The 2nd Regiment of Sharpshooters, with its 250 to 300 men, did not long dispute the advance of 15 to 20,000 Confederates that advanced from the pike down into the valley upon Sickles' Corps. So they're not stopping people, but they are killing people. And I'll give you a good account of that right now. Any questions? You okay? That's barbecue. How's Red Steak barbecue?
No, it's delicious.
Oh, is it? Did you bring any ribs? You're going to end up being the executor. You don't know that word yet, but it's a dirty word, I'm going to tell you. And it causes a lot of headaches. You don't want to be the executor. Not the executioner. Executor. Even worse. Alright, so here's one from the Confederate side. I love this. I wish I could have heard this. Quote, "Then arose that wild, indescribable battle yell that no one having heard ever forgot." Can you imagine that? Thousands of voices coming off there. The men sprang forward as if at a game of ball. The air was full of sound. A long line of Federal skirmishers protected by a stone wall. Anybody seen a stone wall around here? A line of Federal skirmishers protected by a stone wall immediately opened fire. Grape and canister from the Federal battery hurled over us as we descended the hill into the valley. We rushed through our own battery while it was firing, can you imagine, and receiving the fire of the enemy's guns. Here we go in the sharpshooters. Men were fallen, stricken to death. Immediately to the right, Taylor Darwin, orderly sergeant of Company I, suddenly stopped, quivered, and sank to the earth dead, a ball having passed through his brain. Who do you think probably did that? There was Rube Franks of the same company, just returned from his home in Alabama. This is a good one. His new uniform, bright with color, the envy of all of his comrades. His gladsome, is that an actual word, gladsome?
Yep.
His gladsome face become beaming as if his sweetheart's kiss had materialized on his lips. Can you read? Should have you read it. You want to read it? Materialized on his lips, calling to his comrades. No. He did not say no to his comrades. What did he say?
Come on, boys.
Come. Come on, boy. Do it more than that. Come on, boys.
Come on, boys.
Come. The 5th.
Texas will get there before the 4th.
That's right. You don't want the 5th Texas beating the 4th Alabama. You can't be having that happen. What does it say?
Come on, boys, come.
That's right.
He shortly
Afterwards.
met the fatal shot. There was Billy Marshall running neck and neck with the private soldier, each striving to reverse stone fence behind which lay protected.
Slow down. Which lay protected. Lay protected.
Lay protected the federal line of skirmishers,
Woo, big word.
firing into the faces of the advancing Confederates.
There you go. You know, when the Confederates come up here, the first thing they're going to do is, and they're moving fast, depending on who you talk to, it looks like that they start unraveling here because they're shooting down the line. So these Federals are starting to fall back. If I'm a Federal and I see Confederates have already advanced into that wood line and I can't see them, the last place I'm going is this direction if I'm on this roadway. I'm just thinking to myself, I know nothing. I'm just using common sense here. Where I want to go is the place of least resistance. That's what happens most of the time in combat. So he, going to the gentleman's question, retreats to there, to Devil's Den.
Do I have to walk all the way to
No, you don't have to. I'm comfortable with this. You know, when I first got here to Pennsylvania, I was watching the local news, and they had this sheriff up there from Lancaster County, and they had him on the film and asking him why he let these Amish kids out of jail. I forget what they had done or whatever. But the poor sheriff was standing there, it's about 20 years ago, and he says, well, they were just getting too used to it. They were getting used to air conditioning TV. We thought it would be best if we sent them on back to their folks. Right there. There you go. Now see, I don't have to worry about any Amish ever seeing that comic. Right? So if not, we've got a problem. If somebody comes to me, Mr. Amish man, how did you see it? Thank you. All right, so take a few steps back toward the Admiral back there. Right back there. Okay. So, and then the left flank, your left is going to go, you fall back. See how they split? They split. They get torn apart because everybody's moving. And there's several dozen of them captured. Now, the Union, I won't cover this later, so I'll cover it now. I got Union accounts, sharpshooter accounts talking about grabbing Confederates over here on the left. Because there's all kind of confusion. People get separated, wandering through the woods, looking for their command, everything, you know. I mean, you imagine it's probably going to happen. So, this is from Wyman S. White, Company F of New Hampshire. All right. You want to get up there? Well, don't do it too fast. All right, hold that. We're going to read right there. Okay. Speak. Let's see how you sound.
Hello.
Okay. All right. Our skirmish line.
Our skirmish line was at the top. It was at that time off to the right, about a third of a mile south of Devil's Den.
I should have said this is Company F, New Hampshire. Captain Wyman S. White. I'm sorry.
It was nearly 4 o'clock as our line was at a halt. I was near the Slider's house, having a position in an angle of the stone wall just between the house and the barn.
Corner's right around the corner.
The enemy's pickets or skirmishers were getting up nearer and bolder, and we expected an attack from a strong force. We did not have long to wait before a solid mass of rebels spilled over our ridge and in front across the Emmitsburg pike, their left bearing down the peach orchard. They came yelling and firing struggles over the fence and through the timber. Just in front of where I was, the land was open, and as I saw they were most dressed in button-up clothes, they had an appearance of a plowed field being closed in a mass formation until they got within good fighting distance up to our line, when they broke into battle formation.
Now don't fall yet. When they broke into battle formation.
3 lines deep, our line being only a skirmish line, that man's 5 paces distance between the men, we were obliged to fall back or either be killed or taken prisoner. The enemy force in our front was at least 90 men to our 1. Still, they noticed here was some opposition to their charge, for we were armed with breech loaders, and as we took the matter very coolly, many a brave Southern threw up his devil's den of arms and fell. But on they came, shouting and yelling their peculiar yell down through Devil's Den across the lower portion of Round Top, pressing on to gain position on Little Round Top.
This is by, I should say, Lieutenant George Augustus Martin, a 24-year-old serving, if I can get this out, acting assistant adjunct general to Hobart. That's AAAG. He's the AAAG. To Hobart, thank you, to Hobart Ward and Berdan. The house that he's about to speak of may be here or it may not. He says, as you'll see in the narrative, 2 families. So, I don't know. There is a J. Weichard and a J. Weichard Jr. living behind Big Round Top. So I don't know if that's plausible. Maybe it's here.
You get the George Weichert farm, right?
With 2 families, though. I mean, I looked up 2 families, and they had 2 houses. I can't figure that out, you know.
Jacob Weichert and Jacob Weichert. Jacob Weichert Stone House, Jacob Weichert White House.
Side by side.
Yes. Welcome to Gettysburg.
Thank you. Thank you. The mysterious red shirt man has spoken again. That was the mysterious red shirt man for you people that are there. Is that on PCN as mysterious red shirt man? Is that just on YouTube?
That's just on YouTube.
Okay. Today is his lucky day. Right here. Broadcasting across the Commonwealth. Okay. I'll read the first paragraph. Our headquarters were near a little house inhabited by 2 families, the husbands of which are in our army. That would be a key clue to find where those 2 soldiers are. The house was situated first where our brigade was formed and where Longstreet made his attempt to turn our left. The young woman had half a barrel full of flour, which they were making little griddle cakes of about the size of your hand. I put a guard over the house and told the family to make all arrangements for leaving when the fight commenced. And check this out. And ordered $1's worth of cakes, expecting to get biscuit enough for breakfast for 3. I mean, $1 is a lot of money. You only get 13 a month, at least the privates. When I returned from a tour of the lines, I was informed that my bread was done and was handed these cakes simply made from flour and water, baked or fried on top of the stove. There were 12 of them. I bought 5 small radishes for an extra half, I guess that's 50 cents, and the following conversation ensued. Okay, so we shall now have the following conversation. Step on up. You just read that one line right there. Madam.
Madam, you seem to be making a good thing out of the army.
Now you step up. You read that line. Well, yes.
Well, yes, if they only stay a few days, I shall get right smart money out of them.
Wait a minute.
But don't you charge a pretty high price for your bread?
This was evaded by the woman. She didn't answer. Right here. She didn't say anything, and so, I'm sorry. So the soldier continued. You're fired. Well, said I.
Well, said I, it does me good to get among such patriotic people as you. I think you are
Amply.
amply able to take care of yourself and will receive.
And will relieve.
And will.
And will. I know it, I misspelled it, but act like that's Mississippi talk. Come on up. Now this butt, I'm sorry, the second butt.
But you will tell us when the battle commences so we can get away, won't you?
So you will tell us when the battle commences so we can get away, won't you?
Yes.
I replied.
And directly the ball opened. And the women, after carrying out their cooking operations with as much
Nonchalant.
as they were at the mustard and making about $10 worth of cakes, skedaddled. In 2 hours, the corner where the house stood was perfectly little.
We won't say that.
Yes.
Heck.
The next day, however, the woman
Was top of the page.
was back again and finished up the barrel of 4 at 8 cents and a third per griddle cake.
8 cents and a third per griddle cake, right there. Right there. All right. So I don't know if this is this family or not, but it can show you. If I could say one thing, and I know we're hot and we're not gonna prolong it. We're gonna move off now. But a common theme among the Union soldiers, and I hate to say this, I'm just reporting the news, but a common theme among the Union soldiers, ladies and gentlemen, is how the local civilians took advantage of them. You know, like charging them for a bucket of water or, you know, biscuits like you just heard or something. They really resented that. And the conversation which these two related, that was basically the soldier trying to call her patriotism into. You know, why are you doing this to me? You only gave me 12 cakes for $1. Are you serious? I mean, it's like highway robbery. I mean, he's expecting to feed 3 people off this thing. He didn't even get that.
In 1888, Colonel Stockton received a letter from none other than William C. Oats. The position from which we advanced was at or near an old hedgerow, north of Pike Emmitsburg, I believe, and right at the brow of ridge south of Round Top. My orders were guide to the foot of Round Top and hug to its base.
That's the path you just did. He's supposed to come through here. I'm gonna put y'all in the shade.
That's you.
All right, go ahead. We're not gonna be here long. Y'all don't worry about it.
Keeping to the west of it and passing up to the valley between it and LRT to find the federal left and turn it if possible and go as far as I could.
Oaks is saying turn the federal left and drive it in as far as he can go. That's what his orders are. So he's supposed to come by this way, marching this way. He's supposed to be headed this way, right? That's where Oats is headed. Now look what happens.
The Lieutenant Colonel Burglar commanded the 47th Alabama Regiment was directed to keep close to me. This line of advance was your conversion one, and had it not be disturbed by the presence of your command when it first appeared, would have strengthened as we advanced, and our losses would not have produced any gaps or breaks in our line. The advance began, and when the right of my regiment approached the first foot of Round Top, we received our fire nearly on flank. Our advance on 150
Our advance of 150
yards, further without change of direction, would have presented my right flank to your left. Had your line been parallel, but as your right was retired and conformably to the ground, you had not conformed to the ground. You had partly a front of partly a right oblique fire on me. Receiving no orders, I did not vary my course until you gave me a second one, which wounded several of my men, among them my Lieutenant Colonel Isaac
B. Fagan, I think.
Fagan. who lost a leg, and he now lives in Union Spring, Bullock County, Alabama. I then, knowing that it would not do to pass, leave you on my right rear, gave the command, change direction to the right, and swung around far enough to advance on you. The 47th Alabama swung with me. My advance dislodged you, but as you fell back from the south of Round Top, you kept up a lively fire on my advancing line, which returned it, but without much effectiveness, as your men, being range sharpshooters and skirmishers, kept well under cover, taking advantages of boulders and lime outside. When over halfway up your course, seized and henceforth to the top, I did not see one of your men.
That was a long read for him. And had this many blue lights around me in a while. Okay. Incorrigible. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that by Eliot. Reading that letter by William C. Oats. And when Oats was writing, to give you the background of that, he was writing one of the members of the United States Sharpshooters, telling them what had happened to him or his command as they advanced up through here. So to rehash, because I had to move because of the traffic, what I wanted to explain to you down there is Oats and the 15th were headed this way. They were sweeping. They were trying to stay connected. But if you remember the letter, he said he started receiving a fire from his right. That fire would have come from these woods. And I didn't stop y'all in the D-shaped field, but they were probably, as the Alabamians came through that D-shaped field or somewhere around there in that vicinity, they started getting hit. So what is Oates supposed to do? I'm trying to relate this to the bigger picture. He can't allow those sharpshooters to be behind him. You want the enemy to be swept in front. You want to keep them in front. Okay, so in other words, not let them behind you. And so Oates changes. He pivots. He told you, he told the guy he wheeled to the right. And when he wheeled to the right, that means he brought it flush, and he would have been coming straight through here. In other words, following the road now. He would have been coming straight up the road, and I don't know where his right flank and his left flank were, but if you ever walk up to Big Round Top to the summit, Oates is not climbing this switchback trail, people. This is the, without a compass, this is the western side of Big Round Top. Oates and his men climb the southern side, this side. When you're walking up to the summit of Big Round Top, look off the edge down in the woods, and the south side is a lot steeper than the west side. There's a reason the park put the switchback trail where it did, for obvious reasons. But anyway, don't underestimate what the Alabamians were up against. Before they had stepped off, Oates had sent 22 canteen runners out to refill the canteens, and they had not returned yet. And because of that, ladies and gentlemen, his men are out of water, they're out of breath, and now they've got these sharpshooters who had to be picking off the promiscuous people in here. But what did Oates say? We fired at you, but it was unsuccessful because you were hidden. You were behind objects, you did not have a battle line, and they're in Napoleonic formations. Can you see modern tactics meeting old Napoleonic tactics? You're seeing it right here in these woods. By sheer force of number, William C. Oates has got around 500 men. By sheer force of number, 500 men versus whatever, is left from the second. Let's say they had, 60, 70 men coming back through here. They're not going to stop them. I mean, you might get a 50 caliber machine gun and do it, but you're still not going to do it with breech loading single shot weapons. So by sheer force of number, and the Confederates are shooting too, they push the Union troops back through this area. Oates goes on to relate that Lieutenant Colonel Mike Bulger, who was in charge of the 47th Alabama, fell severely wounded, and the 47th Alabama, quote-unquote, broke and retreated in confusion. A moment later, you appeared directly in my rear and opened fire on me. All right, how's that? Okay, so here's the Devil's Kitchen that goes down to the cracks in the rocks. I mean, if we can look, I'm not a nature person, but obviously, but I mean, think about that. You know how many millions of years it took to make that? I mean, that's just crazy. You know, you can go to England. I mean, they got that. What's that place? You got the people stuck the rocks in the ground in a circle. What's Stonehenge over there? You know, completely overrated. Compared to what I got right here. You want pagan idolatry? I got it. Right here. Thank you.
Find ours and didn't take people to the wrong place.
Redskin fan. Give it right back.
Oh, there's a British lady here. I like it. I like it. I like it straight too, and I'm getting it. Sport. Okay. So, Oats continues. The great service which you and your command did was first in changing my direction and in drawing my regiment and the 47th Alabama away from the point of attack. You drew off and delayed this force of over 1,000 men from falling on Vincent and the Union left at the same time of the attack of Law's other 3 regiments, the Texas and 2 Georgia brigades in front. And but for this service on your part, I am confident we would have swept away the Union line and have captured Little Round Top, which would have won the battle for us. Again, when Vincent had fallen and I was within 150 yards of the top of Little Round Top, you forced me to retire by appearing in my rear and opening fire on me. That's going to be Company B and so forth. Company B marker. Oates concludes the letter by quoting Victor Hugo. Am I saying that right? Hugo, Victor Hugo, right here. Y'all ready for this profound statement? You are. They're done. I'm going to tell you. 2 great armies in battle are like 2 giants in a wrestling match. A stump, a projecting root, or a tuft full of grass may serve to brace the one or trip the other. On cush slender threads does the fate of nations depend. So, once again, look around you. Alabamians would have been coming from behind you. You were facing in the direction of the advance of the Alabamians, and the sharpshooters would have been falling back from tree to tree and rock to rock. These very boulders in which you're in the middle of right now, I can't point to this boulder or that boulder and say they got a picture, they all got their picture taken at Devil's Den, on the retreat, on the way out, you know. But nevertheless, there's enough Union soldiers coming through here that they're obviously in this area. And now I hope, if you've seen nothing else, why the Alabamians are being pulled up this hill. You can have a few men, but when you're effective, meaning you're hitting your targets, and probably prime targets, you attract a lot of attention. And Oates thought that it saved the battle for the Union. The only thing Oates has wrong about it, he's right in his letter that it did pull him away and everything. The only thing Oates has wrong in his letter is that the sharpshooters did this intentionally. They're not doing it intentionally. They're just trying to keep out of the way. They're not trying to draw the Confederates anywhere. They're just retreating into good defensive terrain, and it just works out that way. But as Victor Hugo said, that's how things go, right? You just never know where it's gonna go. Okay, so some of the members of the 2nd USS came through here and joined the 83rd Pennsylvania. As the crow flies, that would be in this direction. Right there. All right. Where that go? There you go. You want to point to? Right there. There you go. So you can be a park ranger. Thank you, Juju. Thank you, Elliot. Thank you very much. Anybody else would like to point? Thank you, sir. To 83rd. Now, 15 sharpshooters from the 2nd joined Company B of the 20th Maine. I've always wondered about that. For years I've spoken about, or people have asked me about, how many sharpshooters were with Company B. Well, the number in this particular study was 15. So they probably got, I'd have to look up Company B's numbers. You know it offhand? You probably got 40 or 50 people back there along that stone wall around Company B. So that would be in this direction. So what I'm saying is the 2nd USSS scattered to the winds. And they're basically all moving back in this direction in a hurry. After Gettysburg, Hiram Berdan, you want to make your way around? He's going to get on. What would be a TV show, what would be a PCN show without this guy? The T-shirt man. Always ready with the appropriate T-shirt. It's Hiram Berdan. Right here. How many of you, before you start giggling, have a Hiram Berdan T-shirt? That's what I thought. Right here. All right. So after Gettysburg, Hiram Berdan spent several months in Washington recuperating from a wound that the official records did not record. He resigned on January 2nd, 1864, and eventually he and his family moved to Europe, where he successfully and lucratively sold several firearm patents to various governments. Among his inventions in the post-war years were a twin-screw submarine gunboat, a torpedo boat for evading torpedo nets, a long-distance rangefinder which could measure distances up to 6 miles with 17 deviations. And apparently it could be used within, you could find the distance under a minute. Real crackerjack, you know? And a new fuse for a shrapnel shell which caused the shell to explode after making so many rotations in the air. That's getting into World War II, people. When you put those bombs, those ignition, those propellers on the end of those 250, 500-pound bombs, what are they doing? They're spinning. Hiram Berdan, that's the timing mechanism on them as they, you know, as we were working together back in the 40s, you know. So, 1940s. Berdan returned here to Gettysburg for the 25th reunion. That'd be 1888. His original plan was to erect one monument to the sharpshooters, but seeing that individual states had already started erecting company monuments instead, Berdan just did away with the idea. Berdan did get so far as to write the inscription for the proposed monument, which included the phrase attributed to him, which reportedly, according to Berdan, on July 2nd, he ordered the first USSS to advance firing, follow me. And he wanted that on the monument. Many of his veterans, many of his men objected to that statement because a lot of them didn't think it was true. Because a lot of them didn't remember seeing him on July 2nd. So, yeah. The 2nd United States Sharpshooters, well, we'll take the figure of 169 people. Let me get that out of your way. We'll take the figure of 169 people, had 28 killed, wounded, and captured. All right, so I'm going to read this. I'm going to have Elliot read this last letter for you, and I started to read it down below, but I thought, no, as many questions as I've had over the years about, are there any dead bodies? Are there any soldiers left on this battlefield? I thought that we would keep this one for the end. But anyway, start with Gettysburg, and that's September right there. Let me give you the mic. I told Dan I was going to wear y'all out. He got to 6 o'clock, right? Yeah. Dan come in there. See, I had the 6 o'clock, going to be nice and cool, but Dan decided that he wanted to go to the boss man and tell the boss that he wanted to be on the wheat field at the exact time that Caldwell's division was. Well, he bumped me unceremoniously. I got bumped at 2 o'clock. So he thought that was funny. So I told him that I was about to wear y'all out. By the time they made his 6 o'clock show, he might as well be leading a pack of zombies. You know, I ain't putting up with that. By God. That's like when they made Jerry Lee go in front of Chuck Berry. You can't be doing that. No way. Chuck Berry was a guitar player.
How you gonna follow that?
Yeah. Well, he said a little bit more than that.
Get off the stage.
Yeah, get off the stage. Let's see. Go ahead and speak. Do a test for me.
Gettysburg.
Okay, go ahead.
Gettysburg, September 14th,
1900.
1900. 1:30 p.m. My dear Colonel Nicholson, yesterday evening our fence builders near the Slider house in digging a hole for a post came upon the bones of a soldier.
Pause. They're at the Slider house. They're digging a post hole. Where did you see a fence? By the house. Right? I'm not saying this is the exact spot, so don't go out there and start picking at it, all right? Okay, but it's at the Slider house and they're digging a fence hole. Okay, go ahead.
Came upon the bones of a soldier. I went down early this morning to see about it and found the entire skeleton of a soldier unhurt. The remains, no doubt, of one of the 2nd U.S.'s whose monument stands nearby.
No doubt a member of the 2nd United States Sharpshooters, whose monument stands nearby. Y'all see that monument? Did you see the hornet's nest on it? Right there? Uh-huh. I used to think that there was bees in the Slider farm and that they kicked them over and that was the problem. No. The hornet's nest is on that monument when you walk past it because the one rebel referred to marching toward the Slider farm as to walking into a hornet's nest with those sharpshooters. Okay, so they unearthed the remains.
I had these bones neatly boxed up and brought them myself to the National Cemetery and delivered them to Captain Hamilton for internment. I'm told by Captain Long that some of the Vermonters last year came down there and searched unsuccessfully for a spot where, they said, they had buried 5 of their comrades near that stone house. Yours truly,
William
M. Robbins.
Confederate commissioner here today. How about a round of applause for these two? One more time. Yesterday, doing the end of July 1st, and we had at the end of the program, when I was in the middle of the program, when I was concluding my end of it, I did a typical Matt Atkinson thing, which I did not realize. Apparently, I said in conclusion like 3 or 4 times. And every time I would say in conclusion, the next speaker, Cody Eash, would get ready to stand up. And then I would talk for another 3 minutes. And then I would say in conclusion, and he would get ready to go again. So if you go back and you look at the tape from PCN, you will see Cody getting ready multiple times when I say thank you, in conclusion, right? You be Cody, right? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that this program has led to a fuller understanding of not only the minuteness of what goes into, like a small action like the 2nd USSS. Okay, that's one thing. But it also goes into the bigger picture of what happened to the Confederate and Union soldiers here on Little Round Top. Why they were here, why they were being pulled out, etc. I hope that you received a little bit more clarity about that. Because, ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing like walking the actual ground. And now here's your preservation message. It's not the Civil War people. It's your parents. It's your grandparents. It's your great-grandparents that with their tax dollars bought you the ability to come out here in these woods and see this battlefield in absolutely a pristine condition. Ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for watching our video. Please remember to like, share, leave a comment, and subscribe. It really helps us grow the channel. Also, if you're looking for more history-related content, then we invite you to head over to our website, americasbesthistory.com.